Nobody ever tells you how quiet the countryside can be until you step off the train from London, lugging a battered suitcase and a lifetime's worth of city noise in your head. For Emily, 16 years old and fresh out of everything she'd ever called home, the silence was the first thing that hit her. Then the scent, the wide open skies, and the way the green fields rolled out like an endless blanket stitched together by ancient stone walls. She closed her eyes, gripping the leather-bound journal in her backpack just a little tighter. Her mom's journal, the one thing that felt familiar. They had moved here, she and her father, because life in London had gotten too loud, too crowded, and too full of empty rooms since her mother passed away. Emily's father claimed that Greenfield, this little dot on the map in the English countryside, was a fresh start. Emily wasn't so sure, but as their rented car rumbled along the narrow road lined with wildflowers, she forced herself to look up, to really see the place her mother had loved in her own stories. The Greenfield Equestrian Center didn't look anything like the stables Emily had seen in London. Here the buildings were clean and modern, all glass and wood, sitting in the middle of a sea of grass. Fences crisscrossed the landscape, dotted with the dark shapes of grazing horses. She saw paddocks, a big barn, and an airy, sunlit arena where a pair of riders were cantering their horses in wide, lazy circles. There were voices, laughter, the clanging of buckets, the thud of hooves, but beneath it all was that deep, countryside silence, a hush that felt like a new beginning and a challenge all at once. As the car rolled to a stop, Emily pressed her hand to her chest. She remembered something her mother wrote. Every stable has its own heartbeat. Find it, listen, and let it guide you. Emily stepped out, blinking in the sunlight. This was the moment. This was her chance to find out if her mother's words could make any sense of this strange new world. A tall, broad-shouldered man in his 50s strode over, wiping his hands on his jeans. "You must be Emily, right? Welcome to Greenfield. I'm Mr. Smith, but everybody just calls me Smith." His handshake was firm, warm, and completely lacking in the stiff formality Emily expected. Emily managed a nervous smile. "Thank you. It's beautiful here." She glanced around, trying not to stare at the horses, though her heart leapt every time one of them tossed its head or flicked its tail. Smith grinned, reading her excitement. "It's a good place for someone who loves horses. We run things a little differently here. It's not just about riding, but about caring, learning, and being part of a community." He nodded toward the barn, where a young woman with a ponytail was stacking hay bales with surprising efficiency. "That's Lucy. She started out just like you, and now I can't run the place without her." "Lucy, come meet our newest arrival." Lucy jogged over, brushing hay from her jeans. She looked to be around 19 with freckles, quick blue eyes, and a smile that made Emily relax. "Hey, you must be Emily. Don't mind the mess. It's always like this. New faces are the best part of this job." "Hi," Emily said, grateful for the warmth. I'm still learning my way around horses. My mom, she used to ride." Lucy's face softened. "That's awesome. If you want, I can show you around later. Maybe introduce you to some of our friendlier ponies, unless you want to go big right away." Emily shook her head, laughing a little. "I think I'll start small." Smith watched the exchange, a satisfied glint in his eye. "You'll fit in just fine. Come on, let me show you the barn. We do more than just riding lessons here. We host community days, therapy sessions, even a few competitions if you're up for it. There's always something happening." As Emily followed them into the barn, The smell of hay and horses filled her nose. She took a deep breath, letting the scent ground her. She spotted rows of stalls, each with a nameplate: Daisy, Bramble, Midnight, and more. Some horses poked their heads out to sniff her, while others just watched, eyes wide and curious. Lucy pointed out a fat, dappled pony munching on hay. "That's Poppy, our therapy superstar. And over there's Jasper, he thinks he's the boss. We have about 30 horses, from sweet ponies for the little kids to proper show jumpers." Emily listened, trying to match names to faces, but her gaze kept wandering to the far end of the barn, where a dark, muscular horse stood alone, separated by an extra gate. Its ears were back, and it pawed the ground, restless, the only horse in the row that didn't look eager to greet a newcomer. Lucy noticed her gaze. "Don't mind him, that's Thunder. He's a special case." Before Emily could ask more, Smith interrupted. "You'll meet Thunder soon enough. For now, let's get you settled. We've got a room set up in the old farmhouse right across the yard. Breakfast's at 7, chores start at 8, but if you need anything, just ask Lucy or me. We look out for each other here." Emily nodded, suddenly feeling the weight of everything. The move, her mother's absence, the newness of it all, pressing down on her. But as she stepped outside, she opened her mother's journal, turning to a page she'd read a dozen times. The handwriting was faded, the ink smudged by years of reading and maybe a few tears. Horses don't judge. They don't care where you're from, what accent you have, or how much you know. They just ask you to be present. Give them your heart, and they'll show you theirs. Emily smiled, the countryside suddenly a little less intimidating, a little more like home. Somewhere nearby, a horse whinnied, and she knew, without a doubt, that her story at Greenfield was just beginning. By Emily's second day at Greenfield, she was already covered in dust, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, and a sunburn blossoming across her nose. She woke to the soft sound of doves cooing outside her window, and for a moment, she forgot she was in a place where nobody knew her or her story. It was a rare kind of freedom, and a little bit lonely. Her first real morning started with breakfast in the big farmhouse kitchen, sunlight spilling across the long wooden table. Lucy was there, already halfway through a bowl of porridge, scrolling on her phone. Smith poured coffee, humming under his breath. "Ready for your first real day?" Lucy grinned. "We start with mucking out stalls. Glamorous, I know. Then we'll show you how we feed and water everyone. Don't worry. You'll be a pro in no time." Emily tried to smile. "I think I can handle it." After breakfast, they headed out together. The air was crisp, the sky a clean, cloudless blue. Emily fell into step beside Lucy as they approached the barn. She was about to ask a question about the feeding routine when she heard laughter drifting from the far side of the paddock. Rough, loud, and different from the calm voices she'd heard the day before. Lucy's eyes flicked toward the sound. "That's Jack and his friends. Ignore them. They can be a little much." Before Emily could respond, 3 figures appeared. Jack, tall and wiry, his reddish-blonde hair falling across his brow. Tom, who always seemed to be carrying a phone. And Harry, shorter, with a mischievous grin and a laugh that carried across the fields. Jack spotted them first. He swaggered over, hands in his pockets, flashing a crooked smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Hey, so you're the famous city girl they've all been talking about." He mimicked a posh accent, exaggerating every word. "How do you like the countryside, princess?" Tom snorted, already holding up his phone, recording everything. Harry added, "Careful, Jack. Don't scare her away. She might call her butler." Emily felt her cheeks burn, But she remembered her mom's words. People only tease what they don't understand. She took a steady breath, answering, "No butler, sorry, but I do know how to carry a bucket." Lucy shot Jack a warning look. "Knock it off. Emily's new, that's all." But Jack just grinned, turning to Tom and Harry. "You hear that? She thinks she can handle a bucket? What about mucking stalls? Think she'll last?" Emily squared her shoulders, refusing to back down. "Try me." Jack's eyes sparkled, surprised. "All right then, city girl, let's see what you've got." He tossed her a shovel, testing her. "Stall number 4, Poppy's stall. She's the messiest of the bunch." Lucy opened her mouth to protest, but Emily just nodded, grabbing the shovel and heading toward the stall. Poppy, the big, friendly therapy pony, greeted her with a nudge, as if apologizing for the mess. Emily rolled up her sleeves and got to work, determination in every movement. She could feel the boys' eyes on her, waiting for her to give up, to quit. But Emily kept going, her mind replaying her mother's advice. You don't earn a horse's trust with words. You earn it by showing up again and again. The work was tough. The air inside the stall was heavy with the smell of hay and manure, the floor uneven and sticky. Her arms ached, sweat running down her back, but she didn't complain. Outside, the laughter faded, replaced by murmurs. After what felt like forever, Emily finished the stall and wheeled the barrow out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Lucy was waiting, handing her a bottle of water. "You didn't have to do that," she whispered. "They just like messing with new people." Emily shrugged. "If I'm going to be here, I need to prove I belong, right?" Jack and his friends wandered over, a little less cocky now. Jack tried to act casual, but his curiosity got the better of him. "Not bad. Didn't think you'd stick it out." Emily grinned, breathing hard. "You'd be surprised what city girls can do." Tom, still filming, panned his camera to Jack. "She's tougher than you, Jack. Gonna let her show you up?" Jack shot Tom a glare, but there was something different in his eyes now. A flicker of respect, maybe, or just surprise. "Let's see if she can handle the feeding routine." Lucy intervened. "That's enough, you guys. Go do something useful like checking the water troughs." But Jack wasn't finished. He fell into step beside Emily as they carried feed buckets down the row of stalls. "So, what's your story anyway? Why'd you leave London? People don't just end up here by accident." Emily hesitated. "My dad wanted a change. My mom, she loved horses. She used to tell me stories about places like this." She looked away, not wanting him to see how much it still hurt. Jack's expression softened for a moment. Then his tough guy mask slipped back into place. "Guess you'll have to earn your stripes then. Out here, everyone pulls their own weight. Doesn't matter where you're from." As the morning wore on, the chores didn't get any easier. Emily fed hay to the horses, measured out grain, and checked water buckets, learning each animal's quirks and preferences. Jasper tried to nibble her hair. Daisy demanded scratches, and Bramble stomped his hooves until he got the right treat. She watched Lucy moving among the horses with effortless confidence, and realized she wanted that same ease, that same quiet bond. During a short break, Emily found a shady spot outside the barn. She flipped open her mother's journal, reading a passage she hadn't noticed before. "Don't be afraid to let people see your heart. Sometimes that's what they need most." She smiled, tucking the journal back in her bag. Just as she was about to head back inside, Jack reappeared, this time alone. He leaned against the fence, watching a group of horses graze. I wasn't trying to be a jerk. Not really, it's just new people don't last here. They always think it's just riding, but there's a lot more to it. Emily nodded. I get it. I'm not going anywhere. Jack looked at her, as if weighing her words. We'll see. Tom and Harry, they just like messing around for TikTok. They think it's funny. But you might actually make it. Emily almost smiled. Maybe you'll help me. He snorted. Don't push your luck. Before Emily could answer, Smith called from the barn. Jack, Emily, need an extra hand with the hay delivery. Let's go. Jack led the way, and Emily followed, feeling the first hint of camaraderie, or at least a truce, forming between them. Together they loaded bales of hay, Jack showing her the quickest way to stack them so they wouldn't topple. For the first time, Emily laughed, a real laugh, and Jack grinned back. When the work was done, they collapsed on the grass, exhausted and happy. Lucy brought lemonade, and for a moment, the four of them, Emily, Lucy, Jack, and even Tom and Harry, who'd finally put away their phones, sat in the late afternoon sun, sharing stories and jokes. As the day faded into evening, Emily realized something had shifted. She might not be one of them yet, but she was no longer just an outsider. She was Emily, the girl from London who wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty, who didn't back down from a challenge. And somewhere in the distance, a dark horse watched from his lonely paddock, as if sensing that something new, and maybe a little magical, was beginning. The next morning, Emily woke before dawn, stirred by the restless energy of a place that never really slept. Even at this early hour, the world outside her window hummed with life. Birds chirping, a dog barking somewhere far off, the low whinny of a horse greeting the coming day. Emily dressed quietly, careful not to wake her dad, then tiptoed down the creaking stairs and out into the chill of the yard. Mist clung to the grass, wrapping the paddocks in a silver haze. The barn doors stood half open, a warm light spilling out, and Emily found Lucy already there, her breath puffing in the cold as she filled feed buckets. Couldn't sleep? Lucy asked, grinning when she saw Emily's tousled hair and sleepy eyes. Emily shook her head, stifling a yawn. I wanted to see what the place is like before everyone else wakes up. Lucy handed her a bucket of grain. You picked the best time. Horses are calm in the morning, before the world gets busy. Want to help feed? Emily nodded, following Lucy down the row of stalls. The horses greeted them with eager snorts, poking their heads out as they passed. She moved quietly, watching how Lucy spoke to each horse in a different tone, soft and soothing for nervous Daisy, brisk and cheerful for bossy Jasper, a playful whisper for sweet Poppy. At the far end of the barn, past all the familiar faces, stood Thunder. He was hard to miss, a striking black Irish thoroughbred with a white blaze on his forehead, his body tense and coiled like a spring. Thunder's stall was larger than the others, reinforced with an extra gate and heavy-duty locks. The straw inside looked barely touched, as if the horse refused to settle in. He pawed the ground, ears pinned back, eyes wide and dark. When Emily and Lucy approached, Thunder's head snapped up. He snorted, muscles rippling beneath his glossy coat, and for a moment, Emily felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold morning. Lucy paused a few feet away, her voice dropping. That's Thunder. He's complicated. Emily peered through the bars, her heart quickening. Thunder's eyes met hers, fierce and wounded all at once. She felt a strange jolt of recognition, as if the horse could see straight through her, past her city girl nerves, past her grief, right into the part of her that missed her mom most. Why is he alone? Emily asked softly. Lucy hesitated. Thunder's got a story. He came here from Ireland. Beautiful bloodline meant for racing or show jumping, but he had it rough. The people who owned him before weren't kind. He got scared, started acting out. Last year, he threw one of the trainers, really hurt her. Since then, he doesn't trust anyone. Smith almost sold him, but I think he's waiting to see if someone can get through to him. Emily's fingers itched to reach out, but she remembered her mother's words. Never approach a nervous horse head-on. She just watched, trying to see what others might have missed. Thunder shifted in his stall, pacing from one side to the other. He stopped, watching Emily, breath misting in the air. Lucy sighed. He hates loud noises, sudden movements. We feed him last, muck his stall when he's outside. Try not to stress him out. I feel bad for him. Horses aren't meant to be alone. Emily nodded, thinking of all the times she'd felt like that. On the playground after her mom's funeral, at her old school, even here sometimes. She wondered if Thunder sensed that loneliness too. A noise outside the barn made Thunder flinch, the slamming of a car door. He pressed himself to the far wall, eyes rolling white. Emily stepped back, heart pounding. Does he have any friends? Lucy shook her head. Not really. Most of the horses are afraid of him now. I used to try, but... She shrugged, her smile faltering. Emily lingered a moment longer, watching Thunder's tense silhouette. She wanted to say something, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, she whispered, barely audible, "You're not the only one who's scared." The rest of the day unfolded with the usual routines. Cleaning stalls, grooming ponies, chasing Jasper away from the feed room. Tom and Harry showed up late, laughing and pushing each other, their phones ready to capture whatever drama they could stir up for TikTok. Jack arrived on his bike, tossing it carelessly against the fence, and made a big show of yawning as if the farm chores bored him. Smith had Emily and Lucy work together on turnout duty, leading a string of horses out to graze. As Emily walked Poppy down the lane, she stole glances at Thunder's paddock, set apart from the others. He stood alone, head down, occasionally glancing up at the horses in the neighboring field. Whenever someone got too close, he pinned his ears and stamped his hooves, warning them off. Jack caught Emily staring and sauntered over. "You like him, huh? Thunder. You know he's crazy, right?" Emily frowned. "He's not crazy. He's scared." Jack snorted. "Same thing, isn't it? My dad says they should have gotten rid of him months ago. He's dangerous." Emily felt a spike of anger. He just needs someone to understand him. Jack rolled his eyes, but there was curiosity beneath his teasing. "You city people are all the same. You think every problem's got a solution." Emily opened her mouth to retort, but Tom and Harry interrupted, hollering for Jack to come help film a feeding frenzy challenge. Jack shrugged and jogged off, leaving Emily standing alone, the weight of Thunder's gaze lingering on her. Later, while everyone else was distracted by lunch, Emily wandered back toward Thunder's paddock. She kept her distance, sitting on the fence where he could see her but not feel trapped. She pulled out her mom's journal, flipping to a dog-eared page. "A scared horse is just a horse waiting for someone to listen," her mother had written. "Patience is the first gift you can offer." Thunder eyed her warily, ears twitching at the sound of her voice as she read softly, not looking directly at him. She didn't expect him to come closer, and he didn't. But he did stop pacing, his breathing slowing, his posture a little less tense. Emily sat there, reading and humming under her breath, trying to make her presence feel safe predictable. The afternoon sun slanted through the clouds, painting Thunder's coat with streaks of gold. For a fleeting moment, Emily imagined her mother standing beside her, whispering encouragement. She closed her eyes, letting the feeling settle before quietly slipping away. That evening, as the last chores wound down, Smith gathered the group in the tack room. He pulled out a whiteboard, scribbling a list of the next day's tasks. Lucy and Emily got assigned to the pony rides for local kids, while Jack and his friends were put on hay duty. "Thunder's still on restricted turnout," Smith said, glancing at Emily. "No one goes near his stall unless Lucy or I say so. Got it?" Jack raised an eyebrow, nudging Tom. "Better warn the city girl, Smith. Don't want her getting stomped." Emily met Smith's eyes, trying to mask her frustration. "I know the rules." Smith softened, a trace of approval in his voice. "I trust you do, Emily. But Thunder's different. He's not like the others." As everyone filed out, Emily lingered by the door, looking back at the list. She couldn't shake the feeling that Thunder's story was somehow tied to hers, that maybe, just maybe, they could help each other find their place. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Emily sat on the farmhouse steps, journal in hand, staring out at Thunder's shadowy paddock. Tomorrow, she promised herself, she would try again. And maybe in that silent space between fear and hope, she and Thunder could both start to heal. The countryside always seemed calm from a distance. Rows of green fields, the soft movement of clouds, the quiet shuffle of horses grazing in the early sun. But beneath that surface, the world of Greenfield had its own pulse, quickening and slowing with every new day. For Emily, every sunrise brought a mixture of nerves and anticipation. By her fourth day, she was learning the rhythm, the horses' knickers at dawn, the heavy clomp of hooves in the barn, the thud of her own heart when she looked toward Thunder's lonely paddock. The routine helped, but she could sense an undercurrent, something restless swirling beneath the steady chores and familiar voices. After morning feedings, Emily joined Lucy near the riding arena, lugging grooming brushes and a stack of saddle pads. The early breeze was cool, but sunlight gleamed off every dew-soaked blade of grass. Lucy chatted about local schools, favorite horses, and funny mishaps from last year's summer camp. "Don't worry about Jack," Lucy said, catching Emily's distracted look. "He acts tough, but he's all bark. Tom and Harry, though, they live for trouble." Emily half smiled. "It's not them. I just keep thinking about Thunder. I feel like he's watching me." Lucy glanced toward Thunder's paddock. "He probably is. Horses remember faces. He knows you're different. Just don't let Jack rope you into any nonsense today." But fate, it seemed, had other plans. Later that morning, as Emily swept out the tack room, she heard footsteps and hushed laughter drifting down the hall. She looked up just in time to see Tom and Harry duck out of sight, giggling like little kids. Emily's pulse quickened. She finished her sweeping and started toward the main barn doors, but Jack suddenly blocked her path, grinning wide. "There you are, city girl. We need a hand." Emily frowned, skeptical. "With what?" Jack put on a look of exaggerated concern. "There's a foal in trouble out in the small training paddock. Looks like it's hurt its leg. Lucy said you're good with animals. Thought maybe you could help?" He glanced back at Tom and Harry, who tried and failed to hide their phones. Emily hesitated, her instincts prickling with doubt. Still, the thought of a hurt foal, no matter how unlikely, tugged at her. "All right, show me." Jack led the way, walking fast, glancing over his shoulder every few steps. Tom and Harry flanked Emily, barely able to contain their laughter. But Emily's focus sharpened as they neared the paddock. She didn't see any foal, just an empty arena with a single gate swung open and a pile of halters hung on the fence. Jack gestured. "He's in there. You go first. We'll follow." Emily pushed open the gate, eyes searching the ring. There was no foal, no sign of anything out of place, until she looked up and saw Thunder. Somehow, Jack and his friends had managed to coax Thunder into the training paddock. He stood at the far end, muscles taut, tail lashing, the whites of his eyes flashing. Emily froze. For a moment, all she could hear was her own heartbeat. She heard the gate clang behind her. Tom and Harry had slipped outside, filming on their phones, hoping for a show. The joke was clear. Get the city girl alone with the most dangerous horse. Watch her panic. Maybe catch something funny for TikTok. Emily's breath caught. Thunder stamped, ears flat, nostrils flaring. She could feel his fear like static in the air. Every instinct screamed at her to back away, to run, but something deeper held her in place. Behind her, the voices of Jack and his friends filtered through the fence. "Go on, Emily. You said you were good with horses. Maybe you can show us some city tricks." Jack's laughter cracked in the air, but underneath it there was an edge. Even he sounded nervous. Emily swallowed, willing herself to stay calm. She heard her mother's voice in her head, a line from the journal she'd read and reread. "A frightened horse feels every tremor in your hands, every shiver in your breath. They only trust what's steady, gentle, and true." She sucked in a breath, lowering her eyes so Thunder wouldn't feel threatened. She kept her arms loose by her sides, turning just enough so he could see her but not feel boxed in. Every movement was slow, deliberate. She spoke, voice quiet, almost a whisper. "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you. I know you're scared. I get scared too." Thunder's head snapped up at the sound. He snorted, pawed the ground, tossing his mane. Emily watched for signs, the tension in his body, the way his ears flickered with every noise. She forced herself to relax, softening her posture, breathing in and out as evenly as she could. For a tense, endless minute, neither of them moved. The world narrowed to just the two of them. One frightened girl, one wounded horse. Emily risked another step forward, careful not to make any sudden movements. Thunder's eyes tracked her. His whole body quivered, caught between flight and fight. Outside the fence, the boys' laughter faltered. "She's actually doing it. Should we go get Smith?" But Emily tuned them out. She took another step, then stopped, dropping to a crouch so she seemed smaller, less threatening. She kept her gaze soft, voice low. "It's okay, Thunder. You don't have to be scared. I'm not going to touch you. I just want to sit with you, if that's all right." She sat cross-legged in the sandy ring, hands folded in her lap, and began to hum a gentle tune, the one her mother always sang when she was frightened as a child. A lullaby, soft and slow, blending with the distant sound of birds and the creak of the barn doors. Thunder's breathing slowed. He took a tentative step toward her, then another. Emily didn't move. She kept humming, letting the song wrap around them both. Finally, Thunder stopped a few feet away. His ears pricked forward, curiosity flickering in his eyes. Emily risked a glance up, meeting his gaze just long enough to let him know she saw him, that she wasn't afraid. In that moment, something shifted. A crack in the wall of fear and anger that had kept Thunder apart from the world. He snorted softly, lowering his head, testing the air around her. Emily held her breath, heart pounding, but she didn't flinch. Behind her, Jack muttered, "No way." Tom lowered his phone, wide-eyed. "She's not running." Emily barely heard them. She was lost in Thunder's world now, her fear melting into something else. Respect, empathy, hope. Slowly, carefully, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a piece of apple she'd saved from breakfast. She set it on the ground, sliding it forward with her palm. Thunder sniffed, then, after a long pause, stretched his neck and nudged the apple, chewing thoughtfully. Emily smiled, tears prickling her eyes. "It's all right, Thunder. You're not alone." Suddenly, Smith's voice boomed from the far end of the arena. "What's going on here? Who let Thunder out of his paddock?" Jack and his friends froze. Emily stood up, brushing dust from her jeans, and faced the group. Smith strode over, scanning the scene. Thunder calm and curious. Emily steady and unhurt. Jack and his friends looking sheepish. Emily met Smith's eyes. It wasn't Thunder who needed help. It was me. Thunder stood behind her. No longer a shadow of fear, but a living, breathing promise that trust, once given, could change everything. And as the sun rose higher, casting long shadows across the paddock, Emily knew that everything, for her, for Thunder, even for Jack, would never be the same. Emily's whole body trembled as she stepped away from Thunder, the taste of adrenaline still sharp in her mouth. The world seemed to hold its breath. Smith stood in the gateway, arms folded, a stern look shadowing his features. Jack and his friends hovered behind him, faces pale and uncertain, all bravado drained away. Thunder, though, didn't bolt or rear. He simply watched Emily, ears flicking, nostrils quivering as if waiting for her to move again. Smith was the first to break the silence. "Emily, you all right?" She nodded, her voice catching. "I'm okay." He strode across the arena, keeping his movements calm and wide, his eyes never leaving Thunder. "Back away slow, Emily. Come over here." Emily took a deep breath and obeyed, walking in a steady line toward Smith. Thunder followed her with his gaze, but didn't make a sound. Smith whispered, "You did good. You handled yourself better than some grown trainers I know." Jack shuffled his feet. It was just a joke, Smith. We didn't think." Smith's face hardened. "A joke? With Thunder? You three are lucky nothing happened." His tone softened slightly as he turned to Emily. "You know, that horse has run off every person who's tried to get close to him. You sit there in the dirt, and he doesn't even flick an ear." Emily swallowed, unsure whether to feel proud or scared. "He wasn't trying to hurt me. He's just scared." Smith studied her a moment, then looked at Thunder, who still lingered on the far side of the ring, the muscles in his neck finally slackening. "Well, you've got something. I don't know what it is, but he's seen it too." Tom and Harry, sheepish, tried to slip away, but Smith fixed them with a glare. "No one's leaving yet. Jack, you and your friends are going to muck every stall this afternoon, and you'll apologize to Emily. Understood?" Jack nodded, jaw clenched, avoiding Emily's eyes. Tom and Harry muttered a quick sorry, but it was Jack's apology that lingered. "Didn't mean for you to get hurt. Guess we were just, I don't know, dumb." Emily shrugged, more tired than angry. "He's not dangerous if you respect him. Next time, just ask." Smith let out a breath. "All right. Emily, if you're feeling up for it, I want you to try something. Come with me." They crossed the paddock together, Smith explaining quietly as they walked. "Thunder needs to learn to trust again. I've tried every trick in the book, But maybe he just needs something different. You already broke the first wall, fear. Now, you've got to show him you're not a threat. Keep your hands open. Don't reach out until he does. Emily nodded, remembering the journal's wisdom. Let the horse decide when trust begins. Smith unlocked the gate, letting Emily inside while he watched from the fence. Thunder stood tall, the sun gleaming off his dark coat. Emily approached, slowly, her hands visible, voice calm. Hey, Thunder, remember me? Thunder's ears swiveled forward, his nostrils working overtime to catch her scent. Emily stopped several feet away, never facing him straight on. Instead, she angled her body, side to side, non-threatening, patient. Thunder took a cautious step toward her, then another. Emily held her ground, heart racing. She let herself breathe, slow and steady. Thunder's muzzle was close enough to touch her shoulder. She resisted the urge to reach out, waiting for him. For a long moment, they stood together in silence. Emily closed her eyes and listened to his breathing, letting her fear drain into the earth. Suddenly, Thunder's neck stretched forward. He bumped her sleeve with his nose, snuffling curiously. Emily almost gasped, but caught herself. She whispered, "It's okay. You can trust me." Smith watched, silent and amazed, as Thunder, for the first time in months, lowered his head and relaxed. His posture softening, his body no longer a wall of tension. Emily remembered what her mother had written. A horse will give you its heart, but only if you offer yours first. Very slowly, she lifted her hand, palm open. Thunder sniffed it. Then, to her astonishment, nudged her fingers, inviting touch. Tears blurred Emily's eyes as she gently stroked the side of his neck. She felt the warmth of his skin, the solid strength under his coat, the wild heartbeat slowing beneath her palm. Thunder blew out a long, shuddering breath. Emily let the sensation wash over her, a connection sparking between them. Fragile, but real. From the fence, Smith blinked hard, his voice low. Look at that, would you? Lucy and the others had gathered, watching in stunned silence. Emily barely noticed them, lost in the moment. Thunder's trust wrapping around her like a blanket. She felt his muscles relax under her touch. His eyelids drooped, and for the first time, he looked like he might actually rest. When she finally pulled her hand away, Thunder didn't shy or flinch. He just watched her, his ears forward, as if memorizing her face. Smith opened the gate and approached, moving slowly. That's enough for today. Don't push him too fast. But Emily, I've never seen anything like that. Not with him. Lucy grinned, eyes wide with awe. You're a real horse whisperer, Emily. I swear he's never let anyone close, not even Smith. Jack and his friends hung back, embarrassment and something like respect mixing on their faces. Emily left the paddock, her legs shaky. Smith squeezed her shoulder. You just made more progress in 5 minutes than I have in 5 months. Tomorrow we'll try again, but on his terms, always. As she walked away, Thunder called after her with a low, rumbling whinny. Emily smiled, promising silently to come back. That afternoon, as the sun drifted lower, Emily sat in the shade by the barn, her mother's journal in her lap. She ran her fingers over the faded writing, tears slipping down her cheeks. She read, "When you love something wild, you must be wild enough to understand it. Trust is not given. It's built, slow as a sunrise, fragile as a bird's first flight." She closed the journal, wiping her eyes. For the first time since moving to Greenfield, Emily felt something settle inside her. The ache of loss, the sting of being an outsider, Even the echo of Jack's taunts, all faded into the background. Here now, she wasn't just the city girl, or the new kid, or even the daughter of a lost mother. She was Emily, the girl who made Thunder trust again. And as she gazed out at the paddock, where Thunder grazed peacefully for the first time in months, Emily knew the road ahead would not be easy. There would be setbacks, fears, and days when trust would feel out of reach. But she also knew, deep in her bones, that she had already started something beautiful. With patience, with kindness, and with courage, for herself and for Thunder, she could build a new life, one heartbeat at a time. News of what had happened in the training paddock spread through Greenfield faster than a summer storm. By the time Emily finished her afternoon chores, even the elderly Mrs. Allen, who only came out to tend her garden and offer the horses carrots, had heard about how the new girl calmed Thunder. Everywhere Emily went, eyes followed her, curious, surprised, sometimes even a little suspicious. Was it luck? Was it some city trick? Or was it something deeper, something not everyone would admit they believed in? Emily didn't have answers, not even for herself. Her arms still tingled from where she'd touched Thunder. Sometimes, as she mucked out stalls or carried feed buckets, she would glance up and catch him watching her through the fence. His ears pricked and his whole body softer than before. That look gave her courage when people whispered, or when Jack and his friends hung back, unsure whether to joke, to apologize, or to simply leave her alone. The first confrontation happened just after dinner. Lucy and Emily were sweeping up outside the tack room, joking about how many times Poppy could roll in the mud before breakfast, when Jack appeared around the corner. He was alone, shoulders hunched, hands shoved in his pockets. For a moment, he looked so awkward that Emily almost felt sorry for him. He stopped, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Can I talk to you? Alone, maybe? Lucy raised an eyebrow. She's busy. Emily glanced at her friend, then nodded. It's okay, Lucy. I'll be right here. Lucy shot Jack a warning look, but left, her footsteps echoing in the hallway. Jack kicked at a piece of gravel, his cheeks red. So, I guess that was pretty dumb, what we did with Thunder. I didn't think I thought you'd just get scared, maybe run out. I didn't think you'd actually, sit with him like that. Emily leaned on her broom. You didn't really give me much choice, did you? Jack winced, nodding. Yeah, I'm sorry. Tom and Harry, too. Smith already made us clean all the stalls. He even threatened to call my dad. Emily couldn't help it. She smiled a little. Did he? Not yet, but he will if we mess up again. Jack hesitated, then looked up, his voice surprisingly sincere. You're not like most new people. Usually they just try to ride, show off, get bored, and leave. You actually care. Emily shrugged, feeling awkward herself. I care because it matters. Horses, they're honest. They let you know how you're doing, even when people don't. Jack nodded, and for a moment his usual defenses faded. My dad says Thunder's a lost cause. Most folks around here think so too. But I don't get how you did it. Emily met his eyes, steady and unafraid. I didn't do anything special. I just listened to him. Jack laughed, the sound rough but not unkind. Maybe you could teach me sometime. Not with Thunder, but I don't know. I could use a few city tricks. For the first time, Emily saw something different in Jack. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something uncertain, hopeful. She nodded. Maybe I will. Meanwhile, Tom and Harry were busy editing their videos, debating whether or not to upload the footage of Emily with Thunder. For once, Tom hesitated. She didn't freak out. She didn't even yell at us. She just did something none of us could. If we post this, people will just think we're jerks. Harry frowned. Maybe we are. Smith already chewed us out. I guess we should just drop it. Tom sighed, deleting the clips, but not before re-watching the scene where Emily sat in the dirt, Thunder inching closer, all tension and hope. Still, kinda cool, right? Yeah, Harry agreed, quiet for once. Kinda amazing. Later that night, Smith called a meeting in the lounge, gathering all the regulars. Lucy, Jack, Tom, Harry, Emily, even Mrs. Allen. He stood by the fireplace, hands behind his back, the light casting long shadows on the walls. He cleared his throat. I want to talk about what happened with Thunder. Some of you already know the story, but it's worth repeating. That horse has been through hell. He was passed around, mishandled, hurt by people who never bothered to understand him. We almost gave up. I almost sent him away. He looked at Emily. But sometimes, what a horse needs isn't an expert. It's someone who'll just sit still and listen. Emily did something brave, and she did it for the right reasons. That's the spirit we want at Greenfield. He turned to Jack and his friends. As for you three, you're lucky nothing worse happened. I won't tolerate pranks that put anyone, horse or human, in danger. You owe Emily and Thunder another apology, and from now on, you'll be helping with the more unpleasant chores for the next week. Jack and his friends nodded, contrite. Smith finished, "Let this be a lesson. Respect isn't just for the animals, it's for each other." There was a beat of silence. Then Mrs. Allen piped up. "Well said, Smith. And Emily, if you ever need a break, my garden's always open." The group broke up, people drifting back to their rooms or chores, the tension finally beginning to dissolve. The next morning dawned clear and bright. Emily rose early, her nerves calmer now, but her heart still pounding with what lay ahead. She joined Lucy by the paddocks, where Jack was already waiting, pitchfork in hand. He grinned sheepishly. "Figured I'd get a head start. Don't want Smith mad at me again." Emily laughed. "You're learning." Jack gestured toward Thunder's paddock. "So, you really think he could change?" Emily looked at Thunder, who watched her with those dark, soulful eyes. "Yeah, I think we both can." Lucy joined them, handing Jack a bucket. "You're on water duty, Jack, and maybe you can help Emily later with grooming." Jack took the bucket, glancing at Emily. "Maybe you can show me that trick, the one where you don't get kicked." Emily smiled, feeling the warmth of something new blooming between them. Respect, friendship, maybe even trust. That afternoon, Smith pulled Emily aside as she finished brushing Poppy. "You did good, kid. But remember, Thunder isn't fixed in a day. He'll have good days and bad. Just keep being patient." Emily nodded, her resolve growing. "I won't give up on him." Smith squeezed her shoulder. "That's what makes a real horsewoman. Not the riding, not the ribbons, but the heart." Emily watched Thunder graze, the wind ruffling his mane. She knew the journey wasn't over, for her, for Thunder, or for the people of Greenfield. There would be more challenges, more tests of courage and patience. But for the first time, Emily truly felt like she belonged. And as Thunder lifted his head to meet her gaze, Emily knew that together they could face whatever tomorrow brought. Not as outcasts or adversaries, but as partners, learning to trust in themselves and in each other one day at a time. Saturday mornings at Greenfield were always busy, but this one felt different. The air buzzed with a new kind of energy, a mix of curiosity, respect, and for some, just a little guilt. Emily sensed it as soon as she walked into the barn. Horses poked their heads out of their stalls, greeting her with soft nickers. Lucy waved from the tack room, already knee-deep in saddles and brushes. Even Jack, Tom, and Harry seemed quieter than usual, their jokes replaced by determined, if awkward, attempts to prove they were turning over a new leaf. After morning chores, Mr. Smith called everyone to the main arena. "Group meeting," he announced, his voice booming over the clang of buckets and clatter of hooves. "I want everyone here, no exceptions," Jack muttered under his breath. "Guess we're in for another lecture," Lucy nudged him. "You could use a few." Emily stood beside Lucy, heart pounding. She spotted Thunder at the far end of the paddock, grazing in the sunlight, looking calmer than she'd ever seen him. Mr. Smith stood in the center of the arena, arms folded, expression serious. The rest of the group gathered around him, riders, staff, even Mrs. Allen, who watched from a bench with her usual bag of carrot slices. Smith started, "What happened yesterday with Thunder could have gone very wrong. I've seen too many accidents, too many good horses ruined by carelessness or pride. You might think it's just a bit of fun, or that horses are just big dogs. But let me tell you something. Horses remember. They remember kindness, and they remember cruelty. And they don't forgive easily." Jack, Tom, and Harry shifted uncomfortably. Emily saw them glancing at their boots, faces red. Smith continued, "We don't just train horses here. We teach responsibility. To the animals, to each other, and to ourselves. That's what makes Greenfield special. Now some of you need a reminder." He nodded to Jack and his friends. "For the next week, you'll be attending safety and handling classes every afternoon. You'll shadow Lucy and Emily during therapy sessions, and you'll help with the less pleasant jobs. Mucking, mending fences, cleaning tack. You'll learn what it means to care for something that depends on you." Tom started to grumble, but Smith raised a hand. "No complaints. If you want to be part of this place, you earn it. Nobody gets a free pass. Not even me," Lucy whispered to Emily. "About time he put them to work." Smith's gaze softened as he turned to Emily. "As for you, I want you to keep working with Thunder. But remember, progress with a horse like him comes in inches, not miles. Don't rush it. And if you ever feel unsafe, you come straight to me or Lucy, understood?" Emily nodded, a lump in her throat. "I promise." Smith's voice gentled. "You showed something rare yesterday. Patience. That's worth more than all the ribbons in the world." He finished. "All right, everyone, back to work. Jack, Tom, Harry, you're with me. Emily, Lucy, I need you in the therapy barn in 15 minutes. As Jack and his friends followed Smith, Tom groaned, "This is going to be the worst week ever." Harry shrugged. "Could be worse. At least we're not mucking out Thunder's stall alone." Jack glanced at Emily, then looked away. For a moment, she saw something flicker across his face. Shame, maybe, or just the weight of finally being held accountable. Lucy grinned as they walked toward the therapy barn. "You know, most kids would have quit after all that. But you're tougher than you look." Emily laughed. "Or just stubborn." Lucy bumped her shoulder. "That helps too." They spent the next hour helping a small group of children with special needs. Emily watched as Lucy guided a nervous little girl onto Poppy's broad back, singing a silly song to help her relax. Emily helped a boy named Max brush Jasper, showing him how to hold the brush gently, how to speak softly so the horse would trust him. Thunder watched from his paddock, occasionally lifting his head to listen. Emily found herself glancing over often, wishing she could bring him this peace, this sense of belonging. When the session ended, Mr. Smith called Lucy and Emily aside. Jack, Tom, and Harry stood nearby, shifting awkwardly. Smith handed Emily a worn manual. "This is our safety handbook. I want all four of you to read it by the end of the week, and I want you to talk about what respect means, for animals and for each other." Jack rolled his eyes but took the book. "Got it." Smith leaned in, his voice soft but firm. "This isn't about punishment. It's about learning. You want to prove yourselves? Start here. Take responsibility. That's what makes you part of this team." Lucy clapped her hands. "All right, let's see who can clean tack fastest. Loser has to make tea for Mrs. Allen all week." Jack smirked. "That's easy. Emily's the new kid. She'll lose." Emily grinned, a spark in her eyes. "We'll see about that." The afternoon passed in a blur of work and laughter. For the first time, Emily felt the walls between her and the others begin to crumble. Jack tried to out-polish her saddle. Tom asked Lucy real questions about horses, and even Harry seemed more interested in learning than in making jokes. When they finally finished, Mrs. Allen wandered over, carrot slices in hand. "You did well today, all of you. Especially you, Emily. You remind me of your mother, you know. She was never afraid to get her hands dirty." Emily blushed, surprised and grateful. "Thank you." Mrs. Allen squeezed her shoulder. "Keep going. Sometimes the best lessons aren't in books. They're in what you do every day." That evening, Emily sat alone by Thunder's paddock. The sun was low, painting everything gold. She leaned on the fence, humming softly, her mother's journal open in her lap. Thunder approached, closer than before. Emily kept her eyes on the page, her voice low. "Today was hard, but I think we're both learning, aren't we?" Thunder flicked his ears, letting out a long breath. Emily read aloud, "Trust isn't about never making mistakes. It's about coming back, even when you're scared, even when you're not sure you belong." She closed the journal and smiled. "We're both a little braver than yesterday." Thunder bobbed his head, and for the first time, Emily felt like she was home. In the farmhouse later, as the group gathered for dinner, Smith raised his glass. "To second chances, for people and for horses. May we always have the patience to see the best in each other." Jack raised his glass, too, meeting Emily's eyes. "To second chances." And as laughter filled the room, Emily realized that sometimes the hardest lessons were the ones worth learning, and the ones that made you family, no matter where you came from or how your story began. Summer in the countryside had a way of blurring time. The days stretched out, golden and full, and before Emily knew it, a week had passed since Thunder let her touch him for the first time. Every morning, she woke with a sense of possibility. Sometimes she'd catch herself smiling as she pulled on her boots, as if she could feel the world shifting, not all at once, but with a steady, hopeful promise. She was no longer the outsider. After the lessons from Mr. Smith, the pranks and the apologies, Emily found herself swept into the life of Greenfield as if she'd always belonged there. It started small. A joke from Tom, a helping hand from Harry, Jack asking for advice instead of giving orders. Then it grew into something bigger. One morning, Smith announced, "We're short-handed this week. I need everyone working together. Jack, Tom, Harry, Emily, Lucy, and if anyone complains about mucking stalls, you'll be on manure duty for a month." The five of them groaned, but it was more out of habit than protest. Emily grinned, catching Lucy's eye as they hauled buckets to the paddock. Jack grabbed a pitchfork. Tom wheeled the barrow. Harry whistled a clumsy tune. They fell into a rhythm, tossing jokes and friendly jabs back and forth, the sting of the old rivalries fading into laughter. Thunder watched from his paddock, his eyes tracking Emily as she worked. Each day she visited him, sometimes with a treat, sometimes just to lean on the fence and talk about her day. He always came to her now, lowering his head for a gentle rub or simply resting in her quiet presence. One afternoon, Smith pulled Emily aside. "I've been thinking, Thunder needs a job, something to focus on. We used to do equine therapy here, you know, mostly for kids with autism or anxiety. Thunder could be perfect for it if he's willing. Would you help me train him?" Emily's heart leapt. "I'd love to." Smith smiled. "Start slow. Let him learn at his own pace. The rest of the group can help. Jack, Tom, Harry, Lucy. It'll be good for everyone." Training Thunder for therapy was nothing like the training videos Emily used to watch online. There were no fancy moves, no tricks, no pressure. It was about trust, patience, and understanding. And it was work that couldn't be rushed. Each day, Emily and Lucy led Thunder from his paddock to the therapy barn, always letting him set the pace. At first, Thunder tensed at every sound, his muscles rigid as steel. But Emily stayed with him, her touch gentle, her words soft. Sometimes she read to him from her mother's journal, or just hummed a lullaby. Jack joined them, hesitant at first. "What do I do?" he asked, glancing warily at Thunder. "Start by being calm," Emily said. "Don't rush him." Jack nodded, awkward but determined. He stood nearby, watching Thunder's ears, learning to read the horse's moods. Tom and Harry helped set up obstacles, soft mats, hula hoops, colorful cones. Lucy taught them how to lead quietly, to move with the horse instead of against him. At first, progress was slow. Thunder balked at the mats, shied away from sudden movement. But day by day, he grew braver. He stepped onto the mats, touched the cones with his nose, followed Lucy through the hoops. Emily kept her patience, never forcing him, always rewarding every small victory with a soft word or a gentle rub. Jack's confidence grew too. One morning, Thunder let him scratch behind his ear. "He likes me!" Jack shouted, half joking, half amazed. Emily laughed. "He trusts you. That's even better." By the end of the week, the team had become a well-oiled machine. They fed, groomed, and exercised the horses together. Chores became less about work and more about shared purpose. The barn was filled with laughter and stories, with the easy, unspoken bond that only came from facing challenges together. Emily's friendship with Lucy deepened as well. They shared lunches on the grassy hill above the barn, talking about everything from horses to dreams for the future. Lucy confided, "When I first came here, I felt lost too. Greenfield gave me a family. Now you're part of it." Emily smiled, feeling something warm and solid take root inside her. "I think I finally belong somewhere." Lucy bumped her shoulder. "We wouldn't let you leave even if you tried." The real test came one Thursday afternoon. Greenfield was hosting a therapy session for a local school. The children, some on the autism spectrum, some with physical challenges, arrived in a bright yellow bus, their teachers trailing behind. Emily's stomach fluttered with nerves as she led Thunder to the arena. The horse was calm, ears forward, eyes gentle. A little girl named Rosie clung to her teacher, afraid to step onto the sand. Emily knelt beside her, Thunder standing quietly by her side. "Would you like to meet Thunder? He's gentle, I promise." He used to be scared, too. Rosie peeked at the big black horse, her eyes wide. Emily took her hand, leading her forward, every movement slow and careful. Thunder lowered his head, letting Rosie stroke his muzzle. The girl giggled, all fear melting away. Emily felt tears prick her eyes as Thunder nuzzled Rosie's shoulder. For a moment time stood still, a perfect circle of trust, healing, and hope. After the session, Smith found Emily sitting by Thunder's paddock, the evening sun painting everything in gold. He sat beside her, watching Thunder graze. "You did good," he said quietly. "That girl will remember today for the rest of her life, and so will you." Emily nodded, her heart full. "I never thought I could do something like this. I was just lost when I got here." Smith smiled. "We're all lost sometimes. It's what you do when you're found that matters." Thunder wandered over, pressing his nose into Emily's hand. She laughed, feeling the last of her loneliness slip away. As the week ended, Emily and the others celebrated with lemonade and apple slices under the old oak tree. Jack toasted with his cup. To Thunder and to Emily, the real horse whisperer. Lucy raised her glass. To new friends, new families, and second chances. Even Tom and Harry joined in, their faces bright with laughter. Emily looked around at the people and the horses who had become her world. For the first time in years, she felt whole. Thunder whinnied, as if joining in the toast, and as the sky blushed pink with sunset, Emily knew that this was just the beginning. For her, for Thunder, and for everyone who believed that trust, patience, and kindness could change the world, one small act at a time. Word of Thunder's transformation and Emily's quiet magic spread far beyond the fences of Greenfield, faster than anyone could have guessed. It started as whispers among the regular riders, then grew louder as Lucy posted a short video on social media. Thunder standing calmly, while Rosie, the little girl from the therapy session, hugged his neck and giggled. The video captured the sunlight in Thunder's mane, Emily's gentle voice in the background, and a moment of pure, unguarded joy. Within hours, the video was shared dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of times. Comments flooded in, some from parents of local children, some from old friends of the center, others from complete strangers drawn in by the story of a wild horse and the girl who reached him. The story traveled from phone to phone, from kitchen tables to schoolyards, from Greenfield to the next village, to the nearby city, and even to a local news website. One morning, Emily arrived at the barn to find Smith sitting on the porch with a mug of tea, a stack of printouts, and his phone buzzing. He waved her over, grinning. "You're famous, you know. Thunder, too. We've got messages from therapy groups, special schools, even a horse rescue organization that wants to visit, and..." He held up his phone. "The BBC wants to do a story." Emily's jaw dropped. "The BBC, really?" He chuckled, handing her a printout. "Read that. The mayor's office wants to partner with us for a community day. Therapy demos, pony rides, even a charity raffle. Seems like everyone wants to see the horse who learned to trust again." Lucy arrived a moment later, out of breath. "Emily, you have to see this. Our TikTok has gone viral. People keep asking how they can help. Someone from the city just donated new helmets for the kids." Jack and the others soon joined, each with new bits of gossip. "My mom's church group wants to volunteer," Tom said, half bewildered. "And Harry's brother wants to film a real documentary." The barn was busier than ever. Smith, never one to waste an opportunity, turned the excitement into action. He called a staff meeting, outlining plans for Greenfield's first ever community open day. "We'll do a therapy demonstration," Smith explained, ticking items off a list. Jack, Tom, and Harry, you'll help organize the volunteers, set up tables, answer questions. Lucy and Emily, you're in charge of the horses, especially Thunder. The whole town will be here, so let's make it count. The group got to work. Flyers were printed and posted around the village. Teachers called to arrange class visits. Parents stopped by to ask about lessons for their kids. Even the gruff, gray-haired farrier offered to donate his time to check every horse's hooves for free. The day of the event dawned bright and clear. The center buzzed with energy. Colorful bunting waved in the breeze, tables groaned with home-baked goods and handmade crafts, and everywhere there was the sound of laughter and excited chatter. Emily wore her best jeans and her mother's favorite scarf, tying her hair back with nervous, shaky hands. Lucy squeezed her shoulder. "Ready? You'll be great." Emily smiled, heart pounding. Thunder's the real star today. Jack joined them, looking unusually sharp in a clean shirt. "You got this, Emily. We're all rooting for you." As families arrived, Smith welcomed them with a megaphone and a big smile. "Thank you for coming to Greenfield's Community Day. We're here to celebrate horses, healing, and each other. If you'd like to meet Thunder, Emily will introduce him in the arena in just a few minutes." Kids raced to the pony rides. Parents bought raffle tickets, and neighbors greeted each other over plates of cookies and cups of tea. Mrs. Allen had set up a garden stand, giving away carrot bundles and stories about Emily's mother to anyone who would listen. In the therapy barn, Emily found Thunder already waiting for her. He seemed to sense the excitement, but he didn't shy or pace. He only watched her, calm and steady. Emily took a deep breath, opened the gate, and led him toward the arena, Lucy and a group of children trailing behind. The crowd fell quiet as Emily entered the ring with Thunder at her side. She spoke into the microphone, her voice shaking at first, but growing stronger with every word. "When I first met Thunder, he was afraid of everything. He didn't trust anyone. I know how that feels, to be scared, to feel like you don't belong. But Thunder taught me that trust is built little by little every day. Today, I want you to see what's possible when you believe in someone, even if no one else does." She turned to Thunder, offering him a slice of apple. He took it gently, his eyes soft. Emily guided him through a series of gentle exercises, walking over mats, standing still for Rosie to brush his mane, letting Jack and Lucy approach and pet him. Thunder handled every moment with grace, the crowd watching in awe. Afterward, applause rang out across the arena. A reporter stepped forward, notebook in hand. "Emily, what would you say to someone who's afraid, who feels like Thunder did?" Emily thought of her mother's journal, her first lonely nights at Greenfield, the long road she'd walked with Thunder by her side. She smiled. "I'd say, be patient. Keep showing up even when it's hard. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is trust one more time." That afternoon, the event continued with games, laughter, and new connections. The local school principal offered to start regular visits for students. The therapy group raised money for new equipment. A city riding club promised to send volunteers for future events. As the sun dipped low, neighbors lingered, swapping stories and promises to return. Emily sat on the grass near the paddock, watching Thunder graze as families packed up their cars. Lucy joined her, arms full of leftover cupcakes. "We did it," she said, mouth full. Jack flopped beside them, exhausted and happy. "Did you hear? My dad said he was proud of me. First time ever." Tom and Harry appeared with cameras and leftover flyers. Harry waved a new sign. "Greenfield's officially famous. Think Smith will let us be in charge next year? Emily grinned, looking around at her friends, her family. The circle felt bigger now, fuller, as if the whole community had wrapped itself around the little center and all the wild, hopeful hearts inside it. That night, Emily lay in bed with the window open, listening to the crickets and the distant, peaceful sounds of horses breathing in the dark. She reached for her mother's journal and wrote, "Today, Thunder stood in the center of everything. He was brave. So was I. The world feels a little bit smaller, a little bit kinder tonight. Maybe that's what it means to belong, to share your story and let it ripple out, changing everything it touches." As she closed her eyes, Emily smiled, knowing tomorrow would bring new challenges, but also new chances for herself, for Thunder, and for everyone daring to believe in something good. The days after Greenfield's Community Open Day shimmered with the gentle energy of change. It wasn't just that people waved more eagerly as they drove by the center, or that new families kept calling to ask about riding lessons. There was something deeper, an invisible thread weaving Emily, Thunder, and everyone at Greenfield into the fabric of village life. Emily felt it each morning when she greeted Thunder, the big black horse who had once shied away from every touch, now trotting over to meet her at the fence. She felt it in the easy way she chatted with Lucy, Jack, Tom, and Harry over breakfast, sharing inside jokes and plans for the day. She felt it in the pride on Smith's face as he watched the barn bustle with new volunteers, and in Mrs. Allen's warm smile as she handed out fresh carrots to every horse and every human who passed by. But as summer's end crept closer, Emily realized that every story, no matter how sweet, must find its turning point. One afternoon, as she sat beneath the old oak with Lucy, Thunder grazing close by, Lucy turned to her, eyes thoughtful. "You know, Smith wants you to think about staying on next year. He says you're a natural. The therapy kids ask for you every time." Emily felt a strange mixture of hope and sadness. "I'd love to stay, but my dad's job. He still isn't sure about living out here. And there's school. Everything feels up in the air again." Lucy squeezed her hand. "Whatever happens, you belong here now. Even if you have to leave for a while, Greenfield's part of you. And Thunder, well, he's not letting you go without a fight." They both laughed as Thunder nudged Emily's shoulder, searching for the apple slices she'd hidden in her pocket. The next week brought more visitors, therapists from the city, local officials, even a reporter from the BBC. The cameras didn't faze Thunder. He stood quietly while Rosie and the other therapy kids brushed his mane, Emily close at his side. The reporter, a kind-faced woman with a notebook, asked, "Emily, what's the secret? How did you change this horse that everyone thought was dangerous?" Emily smiled, shaking her head. "There's no secret. I just listened. I showed up every day, even when it was hard. Sometimes trust grows so slowly you don't notice until it's everywhere. I think Thunder was just waiting for someone to see him." The reporter nodded. "What do you want people to take from your story?" Emily glanced at Thunder, then at the kids giggling in the grass. "I hope they remember that change is possible. For horses, for people, for everyone, if you're patient, and you care enough not to give up." That night, when the segment aired, neighbors all over the village watched together in their living rooms. Some wiped away tears. Others smiled at the way Emily and Thunder stood quietly together in the golden light. Proof that even the hardest cases can be turned around with kindness and a little faith. One crisp evening as August faded, Smith called Emily to his office. Papers were stacked everywhere. Sign-up forms, notes from new therapy clients, plans for another open day. He looked at Emily over his glasses, his expression half proud, half serious. "I want you to consider something," he said. "I know you're young, and maybe you don't have it all figured out yet. But I've been running this place a long time. I see talent when it's right in front of me. If you want to train as an equine therapist, I'll mentor you. Greenfield could use a heart like yours." Emily's breath caught. "Really? I mean, I'd love that." He smiled. "Good. Talk to your dad. I know he's not sure yet, but let's give him some time. You don't have to decide today. Just know there's a place for you here if you want it." Emily blinked away tears, gratitude swelling inside her. "Thank you, Smith, for everything." He shrugged, embarrassed. "You did the work, kid. You and Thunder." The final week of summer brought one more surprise. A going-away party for Mrs. Allen, who was moving to live with her daughter in the next county. The whole center turned out for lemonade and cake beneath the oak tree. Emily made a speech, sharing how Mrs. Allen's stories about her mother had helped her find courage on her hardest days. Thunder even posed for a photo with Mrs. Allen, nuzzling her cheek while the crowd cheered. As the sun set and people drifted home, Mrs. Allen pulled Emily aside, pressing something small and familiar into her hand, a key worn smooth from years of use. "This was your mother's," she said. "She kept it on her necklace, said it was the key to her first stable, her real beginning. Now it's yours. Wherever you go, remember you've got a home here too." Emily hugged her tight, tears falling. The next morning, Emily sat in Thunder's paddock, tracing the old key with her thumb. She watched the horses graze and thought about all that had changed. The laughter, the new friends, the second chances. She opened her mother's journal and read the last entry, written in looping, hurried script. "Sometimes home isn't a place. It's the people who find you when you're lost, and the animals who let you love them, even when it's hard. Trust, hope, love. These are the things that last." She closed the journal and looked at Thunder, who nudged her gently, as if to say, "I'm here. We're both here." On Emily's last night before school started, the Greenfield crew gathered for a bonfire. Lucy played guitar, Jack tried to roast marshmallows, Tom and Harry told stories of the old days when they thought TikTok pranks were the best thing in the world. Smith stood and raised a cup. "To Emily and Thunder and to all of us. We've been through a lot this summer. We've learned to trust, to change, and to stand by each other. That's what makes this place special. Don't forget it." Jack grinned at Emily. "You're the bravest city girl I know." Lucy squeezed her hand. "Promise you'll come back." Emily looked at the circle of faces, the glow of the fire, the dark shape of Thunder standing nearby. "I will," she promised, "because this is home now too." As the stars wheeled overhead and the fire burned low, Emily felt the weight of everything she'd gained and everything she'd learned. She knew life would keep changing. School would start. Maybe her dad would get a job in the city again. Maybe she'd have to say goodbye for a while. But none of that scared her now. She understood something deep and lasting. That family is chosen, trust is earned, and love, real, patient, stubborn love, could turn even the wildest hearts gentle and the loneliest places into home. In the weeks and months ahead, Emily split her days between school and Greenfield. She started her training with Smith, learned to listen more and talk less, and helped even the shyest children find courage in the gentle company of a horse. Jack stayed on as a volunteer. Tom and Harry led their own group of young riders, and Lucy became Emily's sister in everything but name. The story of Thunder and the city girl who believed in him never really ended. It rippled out through the lives of everyone who heard it, a lesson in hope, patience, and the unstoppable power of kindness. And whenever Emily missed her mother, or doubted her place in the world, she would touch the old stable key on its chain, close her eyes, and remember. Trust, hope, and love. Always. So if you ever pass by a field at the edge of a small English village and see a black horse running free with a laughing girl at his side, remember their story, and remember that every heart, no matter how wild or wounded, is waiting for someone who believes enough to reach out and say, "I see you. You're not alone." If this story touched you, don't forget to share it. Like and follow for more. Because somewhere, someone else is waiting for a second chance. Just like thunder, just like Emily, and maybe, just like you.